What's up, guys? Okay, this is going to be a completely random story that I never thought would happen to me, and I was not planning on this at all, but I just want to vent about it and tell you guys what happened. So, about an hour ago, there's this guy who shows up at my home and he starts knocking on the door and then ringing the doorbell and then ringing the doorbell and knocking on the door and then knocking on the door and then banging on the door and then ringing the doorbell and banging on the door and all kinds of things. And I'm like, the fuck? So I did not recognize this guy at all. I had never seen him before. I had no relationship with this guy whatsoever. And he was talking on the phone, and occasionally he would smoke too, and then he would sit on the curb, like by the sidewalk next to my car, and he kept looking at my car. So I'm thinking, did you hit my car? Is that what's happening? But then I tried to peek out other windows and look at my car, and I'm like, my car is fine unless you hit it from behind. But, anyways, so this went on intermittently for like some 20 minutes. After that, I became uncomfortable because he seemed to be twisting my doorbell. Not my doorbell, my doorknob. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what I do is, man, he doesn't sound aggressive. He just seems frustrated. But at the same time, I'm not comfortable opening the door to someone who I don't know. So I considered opening the door, but just something in my gut didn't allow me to do that. So instead, I called the office and I told them, hey, could you send the maintenance guy over if he's around and available? Because I'm just not comfortable going out by myself to talk to this person and opening the door to my place. So, anyways, he wasn't able to show up, at least not in a timely fashion. But I was hoping that by now it's been about 20 minutes. So you're going to pick up your stuff and just leave. No, he stayed there. So because he once again picked up the little habit of ringing on the door, ringing the doorbell and knocking and banging on the door and keep messing with the doorknob, I was like, okay, it's time to call a dispatch officer. So I did just that, told them what's happening, gave them my information. The officer does not arrive until like 10-ish minutes later, and I am so glad because around some minutes after that, the guy who was like here, he had left, and I'm like, fuck! The only witness was the mailman, because at the time that he was here, the mailman arrived and he dropped some stuff on my door. And then there's also whomever is on the guest spot next to my car. That's the only person who saw who this person is. So if something is serious, then those are the people I would need to recur to. But, anyways, it just so happens that when the dispatch officer arrives, the guy also happened to just arrive and park on the same spot next to my car that he was in. So I told the officer, oh, wait, no, he's here. He's actually back. He's actually here. And he's like, where? And I'm like, right there. That is totally the guy. And I remember because he was driving a dark gray Toyota. I think it's a Solara or something. But anyways, it turns out that the officer, he was like, I think they have the wrong address because he was coming from the other side and there was like a group of people there who kind of resembled the guy who was here at my house. And then the officer just went to him and he was like, may I see your ID? Da 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 da, took his information, da 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 da. And then he came back to me and he told me that he was looking for a different number of a home that has about the same sound to the address of my house. And I'm like, okay, accidents happen. It was a mistake. And the guy seemed genuinely apologetic. And then he kind of had a look of fear in his face when I was pointing at him, telling the officer, yeah, that's totally him. That's the guy. And I'm like, I know you were frightened because you did not have any ill intents, but here's where my rant really begins. If no one opens the door after 5 minutes, what you do is you leave. Because it's weird to me that you try to, first of all, open the door by turning the doorknob like you're actually confident that this is your house. No! If you've never been here before, you don't just do that. Even if your folks, who you are going to see, if they have had a habit of leaving their doors unlocked for any guests that they're expecting, okay, cool. But unless you're 100% sure and they were expecting you, and you know that if someone is expecting you, they will recognize you. After 5 minutes, you don't just keep banging on the door, especially if someone is waiting for you. They're going to come after you. But if you did not figure it out by then just don't keep bothering the home because that got really terrifying. It got terrifying because you were actually being pretty violent about it, you know? So at least it got sorted. It wasn't anything serious. Like, there was I wasn't in danger or anything, but that's the message that I was receiving. I'm like, this guy might be trying to like figure out a way to break into my door, and he's also on the phone. You know, a lot of thoughts go through my mind, especially this day and age in this country. I'm not taking no chances. So when you do that, it's kind of weird to me that you just stayed there for like 20, 25, maybe even 30 minutes. I had lost track of time by then. And you were still there, like shaking my door too. No! What you do is you leave, which is what you did, but you did so late. And after the let's call it perception damage for me was done because I already had very bad opinions about you. But again, I like to just call someone over because it's a complete stranger. I don't know who had that behavior with my door. So I'm like, let me not take any chances. Let me call someone over and then we can both talk to this person. But I'm who I don't know. So at first, I thought maybe he was trying to visit someone and he parked in the wrong spot and my car was there and he just accidentally ran into it. If that's what happened, he would have called someone already, like a dispatch officer himself, because it's a traffic situation. But but yeah, no. If you knock on the door of an address that you've never been to before, what you do is you leave after like 5 minutes. But please don't do that again because, again, it started to create very, like, I had a wrong idea already. I was like, I don't know who this guy is, I don't know what his intentions are. So just no. So it also doesn't help that, there's stuff going on out there, and like I said, I'm not taking any chances. I'm glad that it was nothing bad, it was nothing serious, it was nothing severe. But again, that's just such an odd behavior. Leave next time someone doesn't open the door, and if they're waiting for you and they're supposed to be at home, just leave. What did I miss? Well, this stream is just a random story of mine. How there was this stranger who showed up at my home and he was ringing the doorbell and beating on my door, banging on my door, turning the doorknob and everything. And then I basically became uncomfortable because it was going on for many minutes. So first I dialed the office, and after that, I decided that since the guy started to get violent again with the door and he was not leaving, then I said, I think it's time to call a dispatch officer because I'm not comfortable me being here and I don't know this person and I'm going to open a door. But it turned out to be a grave misunderstanding. It was a different address that sounds very similar to mine. I can see the confusion. But at the same time, how are you confused? Everything is very well labeled around here. So I think he was just having an off day or just neglected the sign or something. But it just became strange because he persisted and persisted, and I'm saying usually what happens in a situation like that is if someone is expecting you, you will not be ignored by the front door for 25 minutes. So because he started messing with my door, that's when I became uncomfortable and I was like, this day and age with the way stuff is, no. So I was trying to first get my maintenance guy to come over, but he was apparently too busy because he did not show up during this interim at all. So then I said, someone is messing with my doorknob. I am calling an officer because that shit is not normal. So yeah, yeah, I don't like that. I wasn't comfortable with that at all. But it turned out to be a misunderstanding. I saw the crowd that he was actually looking for. But then when I think about it, I'm like, if there's supposed to be a mini congregation that you're going to, you would have noticed them. Just you, you did so much swimming only to drown at the shore. Just, but like I said, I'm glad that it was resolved and it was nothing serious. But just to not take any chances, that's why I decided to just call someone over because you just never know. You just never know. So yeah, and that's I'm like, this happened about 2 hours after I woke up, and just no, no, I'm not expecting you. After 5 minutes, leave. But anyways, I'm just glad it was nothing serious. Let's see. Creepy or case in your place. We get that here all the time. Like, yeah. And then it also doesn't help that we just had the elections and just anything that's weird and makes me uncomfortable, I don't take my chances. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, guys. I should return later at some point. I have intentions to stream about something. This was just a random story that I just needed to get out of my chest because I'm like, what the fuck? It always seems like someone gets this specific address wrong because in the past I have gotten letters that don't even belong to me. They usually belong to the person who's across from me. And I'm like, what about our signage is not clear? They are there for a reason. How do you miss it? Like the address and stuff. Just no. Next time, leave. But anyways, like I said, I'm just grateful that it wasn't anything bad, but it made a good stream because I mean, yeah, I never thought I would have such a story to tell. But yeah, it's crazy. Some people can just be blind to stuff. After 5 minutes, you come back later. Even giving the guy the benefit of the doubt, the sign was clear. The guy seems like he was just really absent minded. Yeah, he kind of did seem absent minded because he was just on the phone. He had papers on his hand. And that's what made me think that made me he hit my car because usually that's what you do when you get in a wreck and you're perfectly fine. You look for your documentation and you have a phone in your hand, but at the same time, someone who has their phone on their hand does not speak French if you're talking to an authority. That's traffic authority. But then I thought, well, maybe this person is looking for assistance in French. And I'm like, I know I speak some French, but it's not good enough to maintain a conversation. I could recognize that that's what you were speaking, but damn, like it didn't help. Nothing about your situation helped. Never seen you before. You're visiting me at my place. No one ever visits me at my place unless they know me, like you're a family member or something. And I was not expecting anybody. And on top of that, you had an aggressive attitude with the door. So it's like all those ingredients came together to cause this mini disaster of me feeling like I needed to call someone over to help me get to this. But it was just some strange behavior. I know that when I go visit someone, and I have done this before, I'm visiting someone and sometimes they are expecting me, other times they're not expecting me. I knock on the door. After 3 minutes, I give up. I may send a message, and if it's not that important, I don't even send anything. I say later, hey, I was at your place, I didn't see you, I left, but tell me when it's a good time to go see you because X, Y, and Z. But like I said, it was such an odd behavior. I'm not thinking about freaking beating on someone's door ever. So, but then again, like I always say here on the channel, my perception, my attitude is not how everyone else is. So I cannot just expect for people to behave the same way that I do. But the reason I behave in a certain manner is because I want to avoid stuff like this. It's not like anyone is looking at me and thinking that I'm threatening, because I'm just a girl. But at the same time, don't give motives for people to feel uncomfortable around you and because seriously, any kind of aggressive behavior from a stranger on my property, I'm not taking any chances. So, but anyways, I'm just glad that it was resolved. He was kind of like nervous and terrified. He was like, "I'm so sorry, miss. I was looking for." He said something about his wife. I think he said he was calling his wife or he was looking for her, and I'm like, okay, how do you know where your wife is? And if you know where your wife is, how is she not opening the door to you? You need to have your marriage checked. Because, if my husband were showing up, it's like, oh yeah, honey, I totally want to open the door for you. But no, no, just no. And he was also young. He seemed to be about my age, or maybe a year or two older or younger. I don't even know. I saw him. Of your behavior in my book was uncomfortable and suspicious. But anyways, but yeah, just like Ollie said, he seemed very absent-minded. I wouldn't even wait 5 minutes. I would start feeling weird after the second knock. Too many serial killers out there. You cannot expect everyone to have common sense. You know what? Yes, you're right. You're right. Like, common sense, it's something that, I don't know, we need to hone sometime, somehow, because dang, it was just weird. But maybe, given that clearly he is um, a foreign guy, maybe he's not used to how we deal with guests around here. Like, some behaviors may seem suspicious. And it's interesting because I have a stream topic pending that is about how people's perceptions vary based on background. And basically, what I want to talk about during that topic is how I have met people who are from other countries, and then a phrase of mine may mean something completely different to them, or something that we do may mean something different. Like, I think it's Asian countries or something, but if you make eye contact with them, that may seem as a sign of aggression or something. Um, Anyways, I read that a long time ago, and I don't remember exactly where this was, but yeah, it is said that they normally don't make eye contact because it's kind of, yeah, something about eye contact, which over here it is actually a sign of respect and attention and just alertness and all that. Like, if I look at someone in the eyes, it's because, yeah, I'm attentive and I'm listening to you. But in other cultures, it means aggression. See, how am I supposed to figure that out? So I think that would be a very interesting topic. And yeah, and yeah, yeah. And that too, the hi phrase, it's like it means yes in some languages, but over here it's another form of greeting. How do you figure that out when you're a foreigner and you don't know the slang ways of greeting about around here? You learn hello and goodbye, but these days we don't even say good anymore. We say bye, or we say see you later. Like, you're totally not going to see that person later in the day at all, but they still say, see you later. That would confuse the hell out of any foreigner, don't you think? Like, why are you telling me see you later when I'm going home and I have zero intention of having any social life after here? See what I mean? But of course, we don't take that literal because we know what that means. But try that on someone who's new to this atmosphere. See what I mean? Let's see. Let's see. I'm a foreign guy. Common sense is universal. Yeah, of course. What I mean by that is that there are some things that aren't, some stuff that goes by implied, foreigners would not be able to pick it up. That's what I mean. Um, Especially when you're learning a new language, if you've ever taken a class for a foreign language, your teacher may tell you stuff like, this is the formal way of saying something, and this is the slang way of saying something. But if you ever hear someone saying this, the slang way, what they're really trying to say is this and that. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, common sense is something that everyone has the capacity for. But I guess, just like Ollie said, it was a case of being absent minded. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. I think I'm into Spanish works similar with the see you later example. Hasta luego. I get what you mean. Steve Tingley, it's hi. Yeah, yeah, like, yeah, that too. The spelling is completely different to what you would be expecting. So, but anyways, we spell things based on the sounds that our alphabet makes. So, how can we piece that together for a language that we're completely foreign to? But anyways, you guys, okay, I really gotta bail now, but I'll be back later for sure. But thanks so much for tuning in. And yeah, I'll definitely have a different topic later. Are girls and women naturally scared of that kind of thing? No, it's just that what made me a little bit uncomfortable was the fact that he got a little aggressive with the door. Like he was trying to turn my doorknob. You don't do that. No. So I have had people who come here and they stick around for like 3, 5 minutes, six at most, and they end up leaving. That's fine. But this guy insisted on staying and messing with my door, and that's what made me feel uncomfortable. But yeah, usually I'm cool with that stuff until you cross a certain line, and I feel like you attempting to enter my home definitely crossed the line. All right, guys, see you soon.